And then they decided, hey, no humour. And yeah, that went well. I would have said, you're dreaming. No chance at all in hell. Queensland and Hamas. Have you been shot at by terrorists in Iraq?
Abso-fucking-lutely. And give me one.
I am constantly challenging my perspective. Our Prime Minister failed abysmally. I feel emotional when you give me that example. There's been a real avalanche of AFL players privately messaging me saying,
good evening. Great citizen.
Down and out.
Never surrender.
He's done it.
Famous victory. You're going to come back.
Turn to glory.
Stay up, please.
As a Melbourner, used to stay up until 11:30 just to watch the NRL Footy Show.
oh my God, you're amazing.
This is
That's hilarious. I love that. Oh my God. Thank you so much for the memories.
It's Fat, Erin and Big Man.
You may laugh, Big Mum, but here we have you meeting Prince Harry.
We had to put some ice on Junior. No good shrinkage.
It was a very who's who crowd, Big Mum.
I don't know many of them. I just invited them and hope they come along.
I was
Takes
telling
me
my
back.
mates that
Yeah.
I'm about to sit down with you, and although we're meant to be talking about Israel, really all I want to be doing is talking about.
And Fatty, did
rugby.
he do any prep?
Yeah, exactly.
No, the answer's never. No. Oh, that's so
What about
funny.
the big man though? Surely
Oh my
he
God,
really
my
put a lot of
favourite.
effort into
He's
it.
I mean, zero, less than Fatty, but the best. In fact, I went away with Big Man and his darling. They're not actually technically married. And I found out I was pregnant with her on our end of season trip with the Big Man, his darling, me, Eliza's dad. Paul Gallen was there.
Oh, no way.
Gal, what did Byron used to do? Anyway, it was,
Shucky.
yes. Oh my God, it's so funny.
I hate Queensland. I hate everything about Queensland.
Still, whenever I meet someone from New Zealand, I say, "You're from Whakatane, New Zealand."
God, that was funny.
Whakatane. How you going, bro?
And then they decided, hey, no humour, can't be politically incorrect.
Yeah.
And yeah, that went well. Anyway,
Yeah,
good
well.
times.
But really, that conversation of the Footy Show aspect, the NRL side of your story to who you are today, and us really, a lot of us waking up one morning and getting a text message from a random American saying, "Oh my God, have you seen this Erin Molan? She's
Good
amazing." and we go, "Oh, what are you talking about, Erin Molan?"
Yeah.
And then seeing your support for Israel. So can you tell me a little bit about that journey?
Absolutely. It's been insane, to put it politely. It's been incredible. I look at where I was, say, 5 years ago compared with now, and I could never have imagined it. And on a completely separate level, had you told me 2 and a bit years ago that there would be an attack like October 7, that I would come out very publicly in support of the innocent victims and in condemnation of the terrorists, and that would be considered controversial, I would have said, you're dreaming. No chance at all in hell. Sport was always a very big passion of mine, and I got my first opportunity in rugby league and at Channel 9, but it never fulfilled me. It was a job, but that was essentially it. My passion and love was always for politics, national security, foreign affairs. My dad was in the army and then in the Australian Senate and cared deeply about all of these issues. So I always felt a little bit constrained in regards to my old job. So when Sky News came along and said, hey, we want to give you your own political commentary show, it might have felt strange to everyone else. But for me, my day in, day out, my nights at home with Dad sitting around a dinner table, the conversation was always politics, national security, economics, defence, the entire thing. So it felt very natural to me. And then, of course, 2 years after that, October 7 happened. And again, as I just said, I came out very publicly. It wasn't even a situation where I sat down and thought, okay, how am I going to give an opinion on this? How am I going to tackle this? Which side should I take? I mean, that's insanity. I came out very publicly and didn't quite expect the reaction that I got. It was unbelievable. So the next week I came out and went harder. And that's something that I've been raised to do, which is even when it's difficult, even when it's overwhelming, even when it's hard, always do what is right. And so my stuff started to go viral online and started to be shared globally. And the reaction was, mind-blowing. And I still say I get much more love than I get hate. And whenever I get hate or death threats or any of that kind of stuff, I look at who they cheer for, and that comforts me incredibly.
Queensland.
Queensland and Hamas. I mean, look, there's a real divide
That's
there.
a joke.
That's a joke, absolutely. I think you're allowed to joke now.
Yeah,
the
I
beauty
think so.
of my current situation is you can't cancel me.
Yeah.
It's actually amazing because everything I do is for myself. I have my own show. I do everything myself. So could not care less.
Well, talking about your father and his ethoses, are there any principles or lines that he gave over that you think about when you do have your back against the wall, and you have had these moments, especially over the past couple of years, where it feels like the world is against you to an extent?
It's a great question, and there's a culture where they say people die twice, once when they take their final breath and the second time when people stop saying their name. So thank you for referencing my dad, and I talk about him as often as I can. I always say to myself and to him, I'll never let him die twice. So I love talking about him. He was full of absolute gold, and not so much just what he said, and he said many brilliant things, but the way he lived his life is a constant example to me. And he was also, he was the first time I hosted, and I can use this reference to someone who understands it because most people don't. My first night hosting the Footy Show, I went on there, a first woman to sit there and to do that position, and I nailed it. I'm very self-deprecating. If I had stuffed it up, I'd tell you. I nailed it. Got off air and was like, this is amazing. I looked at Twitter, as it was called then, and I was like, oh my Lord, they're annihilating me. Like, you know, get off the screen. You're a woman. What would you know? You're ugly. You're this, you're that. You don't know anything. You should be hit by a bus. And I rang Dad. I was like, Dad, I was really upset. They're smashing me online. And he kind of said, have you been shot at by terrorists in Iraq? And I was like, no, which you know as well. And he said, well, toughen the beep up. And that was a very good lesson from Dad, in that everything is relative. There is always someone worse off. And often when you do something that is right, it is difficult and there are consequences, and not everyone will be on your side. But that doesn't mean that you're not in the right. And so I think I've always lived that way. And he taught us to always, as well, if we were attacked or if people questioned us, that it was actually okay to engage, that it was okay to question yourself as well. And I do that constantly. I don't live in an echo chamber. I would love to. My life would be much more pleasant, but I am constantly challenging my perspective. I'm watching other forms of media that I disagree with vehemently. I make sure I'm continually challenging the narrative that I have and the way I see this situation. And I tell you what, every single night I go to bed and I stand staunchly with Israel and absolutely vehemently against the terrorists. And I'm so confident that I'm on the right side of history, which makes it a lot easier.
Well, I would second the notion with that. Talking about, not being in an echo chamber and getting, having to challenge your beliefs or your question, is what I'm doing correct? Rugby obviously has some people that are untoward to Israel, to put it lightly. And
such a delicate way of putting it.
And a little bit of politics.
No, I love it. I love it.
And so a lot of those guys, a lot of the players now are, my age, who would have grown up watching you, and probably feel a comfortability to message you, and whether it be aggressive or just asking the question. I was wondering if you've had that kind of experience or anything that you could share.
These are great questions. The reason I'm smiling is I was having this conversation with someone very recently off the back of this surge, and it's only been in like the last 6 months. And yes, it's private. I'll be much more impressed when they publicly come out. But I kid you not, I'm trying to think of one race car driver's wife has sent me one thing, not even nastily, but just saying, I don't understand, all these kids are dying, like I thought I knew you. And I picked up the phone and I said, I could not care more about children in Gaza. The thought of any child hurting is utterly horrific to me, but the way I help them is by understanding who their enemy is and fighting that enemy. That's my gift to them, and that is Hamas. That is their enemy. Not is, you engage and explain. But apart from her, I couldn't even, singers, rugby league superstars, AFL, there's been a real avalanche of AFL players privately messaging me saying, you are amazing, your commentary is amazing, we support you, go you. None of them will say it publicly yet, but it's actually blown my mind. I've been really surprised. But then when I think about it, I think I genuinely believe most people are sensible. Most people have common sense. It's hard to wade through the propaganda, and I look at the Channel 9 and Channel 7 news in Australia, and I look at the ABC and the way they even frame things. If you're not someone like you or I who is heavily engaged in this, who lives it day in, day out, who understands to push beyond what it might seem, you're listening to something and you're going, oh, that's awful, those poor kids in Gaza, awful, Israel, and then you get back to your day and you live your life. It's not that you're anti-Semitic or that you hate, it's that is, you trust these sources. So I start to think that people are actually starting to see beyond it now, and I hope I'm doing, some of that heavy lifting in regards to opening up people's eyes. But yeah, it's really interesting with the players and with people from my former life. Very few, maybe a handful, have actually come at me, and not even in a nasty way, more in a questioning way, and the rest have been overwhelmingly supportive. But I wait, I'll know there's a bigger shift when they start to like my posts publicly.
Yeah, that'll be an exciting
now
day.
It's like super famous singers, pop stars that I would have thought there's no way you're on our side, the right side, sending me messages, don't stop, you're amazing. Like 2 massive Hollywood stars who are not public, some of them are amazing in public, have messaged me privately saying, do not stop, keep going. And I kind of go, that's so lovely, maybe you could join me.
Yeah.
It'd help me a little bit. But yeah, it's really interesting, the things that people will share privately.
I'm really happy to hear that.
Yeah.
I'm very excited to hear
It
that.
should comfort you. And
Yeah,
I say this
a
to
lot.
people, the silent majority, I wish they weren't silent. I hate that they're silent. Their silence is dangerous at the moment because the idiots take up all the space. But they exist and they are not on their side. I promise you that.
I play Australian football for New York.
Oh, amazing. Yeah. Oh, my God.
I actually just came from there. Part of the reason I've been moving is my hammy's a bit buggered now. But
wait, would you have been a superstar if you didn't hurt that knee back in 1999?
No. It's because of Shabbat. Otherwise, obviously, I would have been the Harry Sheezer.
That was my second. Yes, of course. Yes.
But the national comp in 23 was a week after October 7th.
Wow.
Which, being, as you can hear, quite Aussie.
Yeah.
And then seeing what happened at the Opera House. It was just heartbreaking. And then to see Penny Wong and Albanese's response was diabolical. So I wasn't sure whether I would even go play. And then there was also meant to be the global intifada and all that kind of stuff, which thank God nothing happened. But my message said, if you don't go, they win. So I got on the plane. I flew to Austin. I live in New York. I flew to Austin to play and quietly went to my captain, bloke from Perth, only Jew he's ever met, and said, I'm going to be wearing my kippah when I play, which I don't normally do, and a black armband for
Giving me shivers. It's like, honestly.
And the captain turns to me and goes, abso-fucking-lutely, and give me one.
Oh,
but
stop.
What was so amazing was that every single one of the players, every single one of my teammates came up without me asking and put a black armband on and have shown support to me over the last 2 years. So why I tell you that story is because for the past 2 years, I have been fighting very hard in the US to try to tell people that although the Australian government is acting this absurd way, and although we see the footage coming out of Melbourne, I mean, right now it's just out of control, the Harbour Bridge and so on and so forth. Aussies are good people, and Aussies love us, and Aussies know what's going on. So my question to you is, how much have you seen that shift in the perspective of us being the Crocodile Dundee nation to this nanny state, Hamas-loving shitstorm that it is now?
It makes me emotional, and that's why I feel emotional when you give me that example of your fellow teammates, because it just reassures me of what I believe, which is the vast majority of Australians are decent, very good, peace-loving, freedom-fighting. Maybe the fighting part is slightly subdued, but willing to... they're very decent people, and I reference the Opera House. And I think for me, as the daughter of a Major General, of someone who was willing to give his life in service of our nation, and someone who's deeply patriotic and incredibly proud, that was the first moment I felt shame of my country. And that was a very strange, surreal feeling for me. That was a moment for us as a nation, because there's always going to be people like that who do things like that, who celebrate terrorism, who are evil, who are malicious, who are just vile. They will exist in every society. You'll never eradicate them fully. The difference is whether a society accepts that. And I'm not talking about stopping them. You've got freedoms that we all need. Mind you, they did use hate speech, which is against the law, but that's another issue. What I'm talking about is a society that determines not on our watch. We do not accept that. You have leadership that must come out when things like that happen in your country, in front of a landmark that gets thrown around the world as this kind of representation of Australia. That is your moment as a nation to determine what you stand for, what you're willing to accept, and to come out very publicly and make that clear. And we failed abysmally. Our Prime Minister failed abysmally, and the majority of Australians failed, in my mind. That's what scared me. It wasn't what they did on that day. I know evil. It was the silence of my fellow Australians. But I think they're waking up. I genuinely do. I think they look at these protests that are taking over the city and they look at what they call for, what they chant. That's not Australia. They look at the images of the supreme leader of Iran, a terrorist. They look at ISIS flags where Australian blood has been spilled in trying to fight that evil in Afghanistan and Iraq. They look at chants for death to peaceful, democratic people. And I think Australians are getting sick of it and they've had enough. Now, Australians, I think, are also inherently lazy. So we're not protesters. We're not people that get out there. We're kind of, you know. So I don't think Australia is going to hit the streets and oppose this. But I think they're starting to get jack of it. And I'm reassured by private conversations. I'm reassured by more and more people, I think, coming out publicly. Even some of the posts that I do, some of the people that are high profile, even liking it reassures me that people are starting to wake up to this garbage. And I think everyday Australians can look at a march where there's Hamas flags waving, ISIS flags waving, pictures of terrorists alongside apparent feminists, and go, wait a minute, something doesn't quite add up here. So I agree with you entirely. I can't say for sure, and there have been moments where I've been challenged in this viewpoint, but the vast majority of Australians are so decent. We are not represented by that BS, low-breed, scumbag element of society that tries to shape our narrative and our perspective. Long may they fail miserably, but we've got to be more vocal in how we feel and who we are, and that comes from the top. And right now, how is that ever going to happen under someone who was marching with the same mob when they were at university and recognises a state that is run by terrorists, that Marco Rubio, the Secretary of State of the US, said made it significantly harder to reach a peace agreement? It's been such a shameful period.
You mentioned the Channel 7, 9, ABC coverage and how people just expect that to be honest. So when they see it, I used to. When I was younger, I feel really embarrassed. Now that I used to I would assume it's our ABC, it's our, national broadcaster. So I grew up in a Liberal Party household, so we always thought it was wrong, but...
Yeah. No, fair point. But even from a news perspective, opinion shows and different people's takes on things, fine, but straight news was always meant to be straight news.
The 6 o'clock news was the 6 o'clock news.
Yes, and that's your highest rating news in the country, and there've been so many examples where even just... You can't actually say, look, they're not saying anything that's incorrect, but the way stories are framed, which is meant to make you feel empathy for terrorists, and you go, wait, this is... So if you're an everyday Australian, again, who's not engaged, who's watching that, and they get their 1 hour of news, 6 p.m. highest rating show in the country each night, and that's what's shaping their beliefs and their perspectives on this conflict in the Middle East, and they're being shown images of children that are hurt, and they're being told facts that are not facts, that are coming from terrorist organisations, and they're being reported as though it is a fact that is accepted. Not the terrorists say this, they say, according to the Gaza Health Ministry, which is the terrorist organisation, it is Hamas. So that's the issue you have. How do you fight against that? Because Australians, it's not that they don't care, but they feel far away. If you're not Jewish, if you're not engaged in this, if you don't feel like it impacts you, you're not invested in it. So you accept what you're being told, your narrative is shaped, and you move on, and that's dangerous.
My question to you is, being in the system and knowing the inner workings of these institutions for so long, is there a way for us to turn back the tide to the 6 o'clock news being just the news again? Look,
it's a great question. I think it's about who you've got in charge. Same as Australia, same as Albanese. The culture of any organisation is determined by its leader and the standard they accept, and what they determine is proper coverage or factual or, according to values and morals, which is tell people the facts and allow them to decide. The disguising of now commentary and opinion and propaganda as news is awful, because at least it's on Sky News, they label it opinion. They label it, it's big things, opinion. So you watch and you understand that you're being told what somebody thinks, not what is actually real.
Andrew Bolt.
That's exactly right. It's an opinion. It's his perspective. So, look, it's about getting good people. And you look at CBS at the moment in the US with Barry Weiss coming in.
Yeah,
So I think that's a really, and people, she's pro-Israel. What does pro-Israel mean? Because she's anti-terror and she tells the truth and she doesn't believe Hamas lies? Like, that's pro-Israel? Like, what you need to do is get people in who can decipher through the BS and are not afraid to ruffle feathers, because so many people who work in the media are left-leaning, which should mean they stand with the minority, by the way, the Jews.
Exactly.
But of course they don't, because this oppressor, the whole, we're colonisers, we're racist,
Our marketing wasn't quite up to scratch.
No, and look, I'm so conflicted with this, because yes, I feel like there have been absolute failings when it comes to Israel, public relations, marketing, etc., etc. I look at the child on the front page of the New York paper. I knew straight away that wasn't right. I saw the mother, and then I knew that child was not so. It didn't add up. I'm messaging, and I've got some fairly high-level contacts in the Israeli government, let me tell you. And I messaged them directly at that stage, and I said, guys, this is not right. Give me something so I can go out there and correct this, that I can fight this BS, because it's not, I'm either getting nothing back or I'm getting, I'm not sure, and I'm thinking, you guys literally can blow up pages in the pockets of Hezbollah terrorists. You're telling me it was 2 or 3 days and a media agency found the story and came out. It's too late by then. It's too late. So that frustrates me, in that Israel is brilliant at so many things. Invest the time and effort into this stuff and be straight away. It should have been straight away. No, we treated this child. This child has a disease. Yes, it's very sad, but this child is not being starved by Israel. Straight away.
On the contrary, it's being treated by Israel.
Absolutely. And that's key. But where was that? Too much is at stake for that not to have been a priority for them. So that stuff frustrates me. But on the other side, I say, if you need a PR strategy off the back of what happened to Israel on October 7, then, my God, the world is completely screwed.
Yeah.
You are fighting terrorists. You should not have to tie a bow around it or try and make it look pretty or try and convince the world that this is just. It is just, but the unfortunate reality is 200 billion from Qatar since October 7 into this social media crap, into universities, into schools, you're fighting.
It's the oldest cell, anti-Semitism.
Absolutely. So you got to be, that stuff has got to be better, because you've got people out there like me who don't have skin in this game, even though we all have skin in this game, who are fighting these battles, and God, it would make our lives a lot easier if we had some kind of way, something that worked a little bit faster and a little bit more effectively when it came to Israel and debunking the lies.
Well, although I could stay here for another hour, I know that you do have some time constraints. So thank you very, very much for your time, and thank you very much for dedicating the past few years to this story, because it really has meant a lot to a lot of us.
Bless you, and thank you for that was genuinely, I do so many of these. That was a really enjoyable chat. I've never had my old life and my current life so cleverly interwoven, and you asked the other great thing that you do is you listen. And then you'll say, whereas a lot of young people, I'm not sure, how old are you?
28.
Okay, you're a baby. A lot of young people who do this have got their questions ready. They're not actually listening to me because they're a little bit nervous, or they don't want to miss their next. So they miss things that are really interesting, that the audience who are listening or watching go, oh, I want to hear more about, oh my God, did she just say that? But because you listen, you were able to pick up on things, and that's a skill usually reserved for people much older than you. So well done. You've got a very big future in this. Pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you. I always come with a bit of a V.
Yes.
And try to, okay, we'll see where the conversation goes. But at the end of the day, like you said, people want to hear you. They don't want to hear me.
No, but it's also...
But also, that's
if you're listening, you're the same as them.
Yeah.
And I always think when I'm on air, if I just went, wait, did he just say, then I assume a lot of people watching are as well. Yeah. And in a conversation, you would then follow up if we're having wait, did he say that? Yeah. Oh my, like, what did he, that's how you want it to be. So brilliant job. Well done.
Plus, at the end of the day, it'd be boring if I was just sitting there going, and can I ask you about,
Yes, absolutely would be. So well done. Thank you so much. No, it's such a pleasure. Thank you so much for the memories.